All right, I bet you're wondering, has Kamala made a decision yet?
Have you made a decision yet?
No, I have not.
But you say in your book, I'm not done.
That is correct. I am not done. I have lived my entire career a life of service, and it's in my bones. And there are many ways to serve. I've not decided yet what I will do in the future beyond what I am doing right now.
Yeah, she's not done yet. Something she always says at last call. Question is, how will she ever know? She dropped out before the first primary, somehow became vice president, then was humiliated by Trump. She doesn't know when she's had enough. Just ask the bartender at Chili's. Then there's Gavin, who says he'll consider a White House run.
I'm looking forward to who presents themselves in 2028 and who meets that moment. And that's the question for the American people.
Is it fair to say after the 2026 midterms, you're going to give it serious thought?
Yeah, I'd be lying otherwise. I'd just be lying. And I can't do that.
I'd be lying, and I can't do that. Well, since you can't lie, what tequila were you nursing while the Pacific Palisades burned? And what was it like banging your campaign manager's wife? Of course, he's just waiting for us to forget that his state looks like an overturned porta potty. But with fake crime statistics and fake boobs, why not have a fake governor? In an interview last week, Newsom painted himself as a latchkey kid struggling to make ends meet.
It was also about paying the bills, man. And it was just like hustling. And so I was out there kind of raising myself, turning on the TV, started, just getting obsessed, sitting there with the Wonder Bread and 5 stacks of,
it's like the White Stack 5 story.
Come on. Macaroni and cheese.
Bro. He watched one episode of Good Times. It's a nice story, except that it's about as flimsy as the drawstring on J.B. Pritzker's moo-moo. Because while Gavin was hustling, he was featured in a Children of the Rich article detailing his ties to billionaire oil man Gordon Getty. His dad worked for the Gettys, and the same Getty fortune bankrolled Gav's first business venture, a winery. This guy owned a wine shop at 24 years old, back when yours truly was still doing nude modeling to pay for alcohol. Those pictures follow me everywhere. So the man didn't hustle for...
Buckle up, guys. Today we are going to break down this opening moment where the tone is set instantly. As the segment kicks off, the energy in the room is unsettled, bouncing between confusion and quick humor. The commentator keeps the audience guessing whether the situation is serious or staged, pulling viewers into a moment that feels unpredictable, loose, and intentionally chaotic to hook attention.
And he hustled the truth. It's like when Hollywood celebs say they lived out of a car before they made it. They don't tell you that the car was a Mercedes Maybach and was parked in front of their parents' mansion in Malibu. He wasn't even one of those poor kids. Hell, poor kids don't have pet otters like Gavin did. Gavin actually had a pet otter, which also means he had pet fish to feed said otter. But he's lucky he started from privilege. He never had a real job. And once he gained power, he counts on Wikipedia editors to make him working class. And then you count on nobody bothering to look it all up, which is a bad strategy in this day of Grok and ChatGPT and a public who no longer believes anything coming from the media. But the entire party depends on ignorance as a survival mechanism. Whether it's White House renovations, Gav's fake origin story, Joe Biden's health cover-up, everything the Dems deny can be exposed with something as simple as a Google search. The days of a journalist having to do a deep dive for 3 days to find the truth, that's over. Hell, I can discover the truth between sets on my thigh master. But this party believes their supporters won't bother to check. And in politics, that's easy because who wants to look up anything? Unless it's a celebrity's nudes or the next time I'm in town, or if you're a super fan, both. But that brings us to the socialist from Queens.
In this section, the host pivots sharply, hinting at anticipation around Kamala Harris's decision. The delivery mixes curiosity with a subtle challenge, pushing the audience to lean in. The atmosphere becomes investigative, as if everyone is waiting for one clear answer that refuses to arrive. The timing, expressions, and pacing all reinforce the suspense building around the topic.
I believe the worst outcome of 9/11 was Islamophobia, citing his aunt who stopped using the subway.
I want to use this moment to speak to the Muslims of New York City. I want to speak to the memory of my aunt. Who stopped taking the subway after September 11th because she did not feel safe in her hijab.
Oh, poor thing. I don't know about you, but I think worse things happened on and since 9/11. And she not using the subway, she was just ahead of us. Not riding the subway is what people do to avoid getting murdered by people her nephew protects. And not only that, it wasn't even her freaking aunt, but actually a deceased distant cousin, he clarified on Monday. Probably never happened, let's be honest. But once again, here's where Google becomes the left's kryptonite. In 25 years since, I've come across 3 murders directly attributed to anti-Arab hatred. Meanwhile, a study by the Department of Justice estimates that 23 to 27 honor killings occur annually in the U.S. But Zoran expects you to express complete empathy for people like this relative, but never the same empathy for victims of October 7th or crime in general. But Dems are more interested in seeking votes than seeking the truth. And they assume their supporters will never check the paper trail. That's the point. The past doesn't matter. The truth doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that you don't look it up. What?
Here, the exchange tightens. The interviewer steps in directly, pressing for clarity while Kamala offers a calm but non-committal reply. This moment shows the back-and-forth tension where the question is straightforward, but the answer deliberately isn't. The subtle body language tells its own story, revealing a careful balancing act rather than a
Welcome! Tonight's guest. He shades between shows, but not his face. Host of the Guy Benson Show, Guy Benson. Democrats accuse her of unnecessary roughness. Host of the Michelle Tafoya podcast, Michelle Tafoya. You may have seen this comedian selling his own blood. Writer and comedian Joe DeVito. And she moonlights as a skeleton at a medical college. New York Times bestselling author and Fox News contributor captive. Guy, there's so many things in that brilliant monologue that I don't even know what to ask you except that who is lying the most? So Kamala, Dana Perino makes a good point. She might be saying this to keep the book tour going and to maintain an interest, so she's lying there. But then you have Gavin, who just takes on a whole persona of somebody that he was just raising himself while opening a winery.
And then Zoran with the aunt who doesn't exist.
The aunt who doesn't exist. I guarantee. And the deceased, is the cousin deceased?
Deceased. Distant cousin.
Yes!
It's the perfect that you can never prove that wrong now.
Yes.
But it's going from
like,
your aunt to that.
Yeah, it's like your Canadian girlfriend.
This part shifts into a reflective tone as Kamala references her own book, attempting to anchor the conversation in something more controlled. Yet the attempt only highlights how sensitive the topic is. The commentary unfolds with a sense that she's navigating familiar territory while avoiding concrete direction. It's measured, cautious, and clearly designed to keep the narrative flexible.
Oh, I don't claim to have one of those anymore.
Yes!
So I'm going to go with Gavin on this one, and I don't understand why people do this. Don't be this inauthentic. The story that was written about him in the San Francisco Chronicle in 1991 calls him a society kid. Let me read from it briefly. Gavin Newsom, 24, thinks he and his business partner are doing their families, who are wine collectors, a favor. His first ever quote in print, "We can save them some money and also give them access to better quality wines." That's a tough upbringing there,
not
Gavin.
me at 24.
So, and by the way, good for him. If he's got enough money to start a wine company in his early 20s, that's fine. But don't pretend that you were subsisting off of Wonder Bread and mac and cheese.
Yeah.
It's such an obvious lie. Trump, by contrast, is very rich. He's like, I'm like really rich.
Yeah.
And so like he flies around in an airplane with his name on it.
Yeah.
Right. He builds buildings with his name on it. He eats Big Macs on his airplane and then sits on his golden toilet. He doesn't pretend to be anything other than what he is. Gavin should just own the fact that he's a rich kid.
Yeah, but here's the deal, Michelle. He was on an NBA podcast. So there was this is one of that it's the racism of, it's a different kind of racism, but he changed his persona.
Now the conversation widens, and the host responds with restrained skepticism. He recognizes the evasiveness but doesn't push aggressively, allowing the audience to fill in the gaps themselves. This creates an almost theatrical tension, one where the silence speaks louder than the words. The exchange draws attention to what isn't said rather than what is.
These black guys understand white bread and raising in a single household. I can't talk about my wine to them, but Trump would. Yeah. Trump would, because Trump would understand that the NBA guys are aspirational. They want to be him.
And a lot of them drink wine. I know an NFL player who makes wine. This is not a lie. I'm going to tell you right now. When I got up this morning, I listened to a podcast, and the host said, I want you to imagine just the first person who comes to your mind who really, really annoys you, because I want to make you accept that person. And the first person that came to my mind was Gavin Newsom. I swear to God. Now, I grew up in California, so I'm really pissed off about everything he's done there, including all of these lies. And I hate that these NBA guys or these basketball guys sort of bought what he was selling. Like, you should know better than that. Now, California is known for a couple things. One of them is wine. Unlike fine wine, Kamala does not age well. So the more time she's out there, it just gets worse and worse and worse. So that's that kind of wine, okay? And then there's...
They left the cork off.
They left the cork. And then I'm going to just take you... You and I were on the same wavelength. So Newsom and his Plump Jack wine...
Yeah.
Let me read you his quote. Plump Jack is about demystifying the wine buying experience and removing the intimidation factor. Two elements that were in short supply in the wine world.
In this moment, the commentary reflects how the discussion edges toward political positioning without ever fully committing. The framing feels controlled but uneasy, as both sides try to maintain composure while the subject becomes more pointed. The viewer is left sensing the weight behind every sentence, where each phrase seems carefully chosen to avoid traps or headlines.
1992, when the store opened, suddenly there was a place where consumers could learn about wines in a friendly, helpful atmosphere, where they could feel free to ask questions, where the selection was large and the prices fair, and where, in homage to the store's Shakespearean namesake, wine was once more associated with the spirit of fun and adventure.
Yeah,
as though it never was. I mean, what is he trying to sell?
What he was trying to do was he gets the guys in on the wine and he bangs their wives.
Go
ahead.
I gotta say, if I was a campaign manager and somebody banged my wife, I'd be very upset. But you know what I would do?
What?
I would pretend for a while that I did not know, and I would just, kind of undermine the campaign from the inside.
Ooh. Yes.
I would keep scheduling interviews that I would tell him would be friendly, and then they would not be friendly. And then I'd do it a few times, and I'd be like, you know what? This has really been a tough break. Why don't we all get together with your family, bring some of your confidence up? While we're all there, I seduce his dad. So now I've tanked your campaign, and I'm your stepmom.
Nice.
And
I like it. I like it when you put some thought into these segments.
This segment heightens the tension. The host attempts to draw a clearer response, but Kamala maintains her deliberate pacing, choosing caution over clarity. The commentary captures the contrast, one side pushing for definitive explanation, the other holding firm with polished ambiguity. It's a strategic dance where timing and restraint shape the entire interaction.
And also, you'd be super rich then.
Yeah.
You'd
Exactly.
be his mother-in-law.
Joe, do you have any any plans like that with Nancy Pelosi?
Look, I don't understand why you guys can't relate. I remember when I was a kid and I had my first paper route in winery. It's so hard to find Merlot that pairs well with macaroni and cheese.
So true.
Yeah, I mean, he could barely afford to have his childhood Tai Chi lessons. So it's easy for him to lie because he's an empty, soulless reptile person. So he'll just assume whatever persona is there. Kamala's not quite as good at that. They actually found that she's polling as a less viable candidate than Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, which... I don't know why that's surprising. She should be polling less than an actual rock.
Yes.
How stupid she is. But Zoran is the one who's got me the most scared. And he's proof of the expression when people say, well, things can't get any worse. And now we have him. Because you remember the good old days when we made fun of Bill de Blasio because he ate a slice of pizza with a knife and fork?
Yeah.
Now we got Mondami shoveling food into his mouth with his hand. So what's the next mayor going to be eating ramen with his feet? Like, what's going on with this city here? And I say that not to be culturally insensitive, but you know at his $1 zillion wedding, they had some pretty fancy-ass silverware going on. So I don't want to hear about this as a cultural thing here.
Yeah, no.
He's just a liar.
He majored, how do you pronounce the name of his college? Bowdoin?
Bowdoin.
He is, do you know what he graduated in? Africana Studies.
Yeah.
Africana. Do you know what that is? I don't know what that is.
Well, he's from Uganda.
Oh, yeah?
So, whatever that means.
No, he actually was born there. That's why he was African. But he's not African. He just happened to be born there.
Yeah.
It would be like me being born in a Walmart and claiming I'm a member of the Walmart family.
The final part ties the atmosphere together. The exchange closes without resolution, leaving viewers with lingering uncertainty that feels intentional. The commentary highlights how the ambiguity becomes the message itself, portraying a candidate keeping every option open. The segment ends on a note that invites speculation rather than answers. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next video.